Okay, looks like everybody's here, so we'll start. Welcome to Performance Plus Reporting Level 2, put on by the Demonstrated Success. I'm Anne, and Heather, I think you can see.
Hello.
We are Demonstrated Success, and we're a consulting company out of Portsmouth, New Hampshire. We have tons of Performance Plus experience, which sounds a little weird when, I love Performance Plus, most people don't love it, but it's got so much information in it. We have a lot of educational experience, ELA and math, instructional assessments and culture and climate, PLC training, looking at data, those are our big things. And this year we got into remote instruction and remote learning and remote teaching and did quite a few webinars on that. So next one. Like I said, this is Heather, and I am on the bottom there. Heather is going to be the, I was going to say the performer. Heather will be presenting the webinar today, and I will be here to look for questions and moderate as needed. This is the second webinar, is that right? Okay, we're happy to have you here. Thank you for coming. And thank you for all you're doing to take care of your students and actually stay teaching and not giving up, which seems like probably a good idea at times. During the webinar, everybody will be muted. At the end, if you have questions, you can raise your hand. There's a little place to raise your hand, and we will unmute you so that you can ask your questions with your voice. If you have questions during the webinar, please enter them in the question and answer section of the webinar instead of the chat. I will be looking at the Q&A section a lot, and the chat I don't get to quite as much. So remember to enter them into the Q&A. Hopefully everybody can hear me. Tomorrow you'll get an email, and it will have a PD certificate. It will have the PowerPoint presentation, any documentation that Heather talks about today will be out on that folder, and there'll be a link to the video of this presentation.
Okay, so again, welcome. This is where I take over. Just a gentle reminder, I thought that this graphic was appropriate for this. We are just trying to kind of keep our balance, keep moving, and really kind of take a peek at where our students are and ensuring that we're continuing to do everything we can to have them meet the standards. So today we're going to talk a little bit about reports in Performance Plus. I know that most of you already have some general information about this, but I do want to kind of start sort of at the beginning and talking about the reporting filters that we have, learning how to run different reports, and just talking about some of the reports for some of the SAS assessments that we have. I know that some of the data from the 2021 summative assessments are starting to get and populate and to get into Performance Plus. I will not be talking a lot about the actual summatives that you are just finishing up or may have finished up recently. One, because we have a webinar coming up that talks about a lot of those reports that we push out to you for the New Hampshire summatives. This particular webinar, just so that you can know before we get too far in, is more how to run specific types of reports that aren't necessarily the push reports that we have. We are going to be using some New Hampshire SAS data. We're also going to be looking at some local assessments just so that you can get an idea of the different types of things that you can do for reporting within Performance Plus. But I just did want to give you the heads up. I won't be looking at a lot of 2021 summative data. So general information about Performance Plus reports is where we're going to start. Then we'll get into the filters. I'm going to go live in the system. We have a de-identified database where I'm able to kind of show you general information. So we'll be going in there. So you'll be able to see exactly what we're talking about live. And then we'll have some questions. Again, if you have any questions as we go through, please make sure to put them in the Q&A, and Anne will feed them to me as we go. She's sitting right next to me, so if you hear her typing, she might be putting some questions or some answers in for me, but we're gonna keep moving. So this particular, I know that you all are P Plus members or subscribers, so you probably already know how to log in, but just in case, I wanted to make sure. You're going to go to your single user sign-on. So the myGOE.newhampshire.gov, this is what it looks like. And you're just going to basically fill in your username and password here. This is the same place you go in when you need to do your certification and everything. So it's the same username and password there. You log in. If you forget or you your account's been disabled, you log in 15 times because you forget your password, you're able to get all of that. Just follow the steps on the right-hand side for troubleshooting. Your screen, depending on what your access is for the state, you'll get a couple of different options. You are going to use the Performance Plus option. And if for some reason you don't see this picture when you're logging in, make sure to talk to your administrator to make sure that you have access to Performance Plus. This is the home page. Just a little general information. We're talking about reports, which is the icon right there that the arrow is pointing to. Just a little bit about the homepage here. We have all through on the top of the reports section, as soon as you click on reports, it shows you the steps that you need to go through to be able to run reports. And we're going to talk about how many different options you need to put in for filters and all of that. You don't have to do every single one of these steps, but obviously the first and second steps are going to be important, and we'll talk about the third and fourth ones as well. The fourth one is running it, so it's pretty important. But so step one, if we're looking at selecting your type of reports, you're going to click on that little reports area here, and there's two types of reports within Performance Plus. There's performance tracker reports and the assessment builder reports. So if we look at performance tracker reports, these two here, if we look at performance tracker, these are all of the different reports that you have the option of using for the performance tracker reports. Today, we're going to be looking at the proficiency level pie chart, the comparative, and the assessment scores. And these are basically standard level reports. So you're going to be able to see them a little bit differently than on the assessment builder reports, which are item level. So these types of reports are for those types of assessments that have the exact same questions for each student. And so the ones that we're going to be looking at here are going to be the item analysis by student, and then by question as well. So creating reports, just to kind of go over the filters a little bit, is you click right on that filters button, and I'm going to go through each section really quickly. We are going to go live, so we're going to show you sort of how this would work in real time, but I wanted to go through each one so that you could understand it a little bit more easily. You can use any one of these filters in conjunction with another, but just keep in mind that you don't need to use all of them. You'll start whittling down your data so much that it might not even actually show anything. So just be careful when you're using the filters. When information isn't showing up in the report, it's typically the filter that you have selected or that you may not realize you have selected. So just make sure to check that. So the first one, the assessments and sections, you can filter by any of the criteria on this particular filter. So the district, it's probably going to automatically show up for you depending on what level of, I guess, of what level person you are.
Yeah,
access. Thank you.
Third grade only, you'll only get third grade.
Yeah. So, but if you're a district coordinator or somebody who is a school coordinator, you'll have a little bit more access. So you can look at your district, the year of the assessments, what subjects they are, grade range. So you can go from 3rd to 6th grade if you want, or just 3rd grade to 3rd grade. And then the series is of the assessments, there's a drop-down list where you're able to choose a specific type of assessment, or you can type in the assessment name if you know it. I've never actually typed in the assessment name. I've always used a drop-down, but
If you type, oh, can I, actually, we have a question, but I'm gonna interrupt about that. If you wanna type in the assessment name, if you put an asterisk before whatever you type in and an asterisk after, it'll come up with anything that's close to what you, or that matches those middle letters in there. But we have a question about, you said that you weren't gonna show us SIS data. Can we use these reports you're gonna show us to look at SIS data?
Yes. You will be able to once the data is in Performance Plus. So depending on your district and when you're finishing up your New Hampshire SAS assessments, it takes a little bit to get into Performance Plus. But yes, any of the reports that I'm showing you today, you will be able to use with the current New Hampshire SAS data once it's in Performance Plus.
And we do have a webinar coming up on June 1st, which I guess is next Tuesday, a week from today, on all the reports that have been created for you already. So all you have to do is go and click, but come to that webinar and you will see that. And I'll put a link to the registration in there in the chat.
Yeah, and also some of the things that we're showing you today will end up being push reports as well. There's a couple of them that are very similar. So, okay, so next one for school buildings. Again, if you're a district person, you would be able to choose specific schools that you wanted to run this information or this data for. And again, you'll only see what you have access to. So for the teachers in classes, if you want to choose a specific teacher or you want to choose a specific grade range, you're able to do that. It does become a little bit tricky when looking at the teachers. So we'll talk about that in just a little bit. So for student groups, you can filter if you have specific student groups already set up in your building. You might have some of those, the dynamic student groups, and then the regular student groups as well. Those tend to be populated in there from our Performance Plus database. The difference is that the dynamic student groups will change over time, and the regular student groups, that student might be part of that group all the time. Next one, you can also choose to filter your criteria by demographic. So you can choose any of these filters for demographics. And the student list, you can choose a specific student. If you're looking at just one student, I wouldn't necessarily do just one student here. I would go right into their student page and look at their assessments, but you're able to choose a specific grade level if you wanted to. All right. So this one here, this clear all, sometimes when you put in so many filters, you can't figure out how to get rid of them. So that clear all tends to list all of the filters that you're using for that particular report, and it'll allow you to clear them. If you click on this filters area as well, it will just list everything that you've used as a piece of criteria. So you might be able to see where you might have too much in there, or you might want to just get rid of one of them. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go live right into Performance Plus. So I'm going to get into, I'm already logged into Performance Plus. Hopefully it hasn't timed out. We'll see sort of what happens here every once in a while. If it's sitting idle in the background, I'm sure you all have run into the fact that it logs you out. But this is the main screen. I have clicked on the reports here, so I'm just going to click right on there again. Right here is basically where the reports are. My reports here, this is where we're talking about those push reports or any reports that have been shared with you, or if you have been in the system and created reports, you're able to save reports that you do as well. There's some options there. So everything that you have here would either be a push report or something that you've saved or that somebody has shared with you. Where we're going to go right now, though, is where I have this is report 4. Yours might say report 1. It depends on how many reports you've run and closed. Sometimes I'm up to report 11. So it's basically where you are with the amount of reports that you have run in a specific time frame. So just looking at here, if I look again at this reports dropdown, I'm wondering if I might make this a little bigger. There we go. Maybe you can see a little bit better now. So again, the two types of reports are the performance tracker reports and the assessment builder reports. If you forget which one's which, it says it right underneath here. These are proficiency and standards reports, and then the assessment builder are item level reports. The New Hampshire SAS interim and summative assessments are not item level reports. They're standards reports. So you would always choose performance tracker for that. So for right now, what I want to do is I am going to choose performance tracker. And as I click that drop down, it stays open for me. And the kind of cool thing that Ann and I found probably just a month or two ago is this little, when I hover over this, it tells you exactly what this report is. So that little grid that I showed you with all the different types of assessment builder reports and performance tracker reports, these are the descriptions for them. So if you're ever trying to remember, okay, which report is it that I want to do? This might be helpful for you to be able to just sort of jog your memory on which report it is. For right now, I am going to go and I'm going to do the assessment scores report. So now I have done basically step one and I've chosen the report. So if I click on this, then I have my report chosen there, step one. Now what I want to do is I want to go to my filters. These are all the filters that I discussed before. The one that I use, that you would need to use the most would be this assessments and sections. You have to choose a specific assessment that you want to show on this report or else nothing's going to run. So for right now, I want to look at, I'm going to run this. I know that the interims are probably a little bit of old news at this point, but just to kind of be able to have something that's the most current, I want to look at the interim results right now. And I'm going to look at who my current sixth graders are, because remember the interims were taken for the grade level that was the year prior. So if I look here, I'm going to say this is the year. I want fifth grade to fifth grade. And then I can choose a specific subject if I want. So here are all the subjects for different reports that they have. But for me, I'm just going to choose here. This is the series of reports. So these are all those different types of assessments that I can choose. So I'm going to scroll down here and I'm going to choose New Hampshire SAS SBAC. That would be your summatives. But the New Hampshire SAS interim is this one right here. So I'm going to choose interim. And then because I chose fifth grade to fifth grade, now I'm going to say show assessments. And here are the two fifth grade interim assessments that I have. So you can either look at math or you can look at ELA. I'm just going to choose math here. And then what you have here is now this assessment is down here. Right, so you can see my interim is what I have chosen right now. If I chose the wrong thing and I really wanted ELA, I could click on this X and then I could go back and choose the ELA one. Also for me, what I want to do is I'm going to go into school buildings because right now I've got the whole state here and I'm just going to choose my district so that I don't get too much information here. This is the de-identified database, so it would have the actual district names in the regular database. So I'm going to choose that. You can choose if I want to choose all the buildings there, I can do that, and then I'm going to run my report. I did not choose any options there. I wanted to run the report so that you could just kind of see what happens when I run the report and the type of information you get. So down here on the bottom or on the side here, it says John Smith because this is de-identified. Obviously, these are going to be your students' names. This has a ton of information here. And what ends up happening is it gets cut off a little bit. And some of it, as you can see, was not something that was reported on within the interim reports. So what I want to do here is I am going to do a couple of things. First off, I don't want to see all of these areas that don't have any reporting. So this is my reporting category here. I just want to see the reporting categories. It does not go down to the specific domains or anything like that. So I want to go back into my filters. And then I'm going to choose in my assessments and sections. There's this little plus here. Once I click on the plus, it's interesting because this happens sometimes with Performance Plus. So now it won't actually usually I'm able to, I'm going to unselect it, and then I'm going to reselect it and see if it gives me the plus.
Refresh the screen. Sometimes that works.
Refresh, see what happens. Every once in a while, it just is finicky like that. So I have it here. Here it is. Okay, so normally this would show up right away here. And so what I want here is I want the overall score, and then I want basically each reporting category. I don't want the clusters underneath there. So I'm going to here. So now I have my reporting categories selected. In addition, I want to go to the options here. And so here's some of the options that you have available. So you can show the full student name. It automatically does that. Where it says, right now it's not showing the current building. If you're a district person, you might want it to show buildings. You can have it show the current grade, but you're running the report for a specific grade. If you were running it for more than one, you might want to show that. This one here, though, this is where it gets a little tricky, because specifically kids and students that are in 6th grade or might be on multiple teachers' lists, if you say show teachers or show classes, students may show up 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. So even though it seems logical that you would say, well, I just want to see what their teacher's name is, that's all well and good, but it's going to duplicate that student for every single teacher that they have. So you just want to be really careful. I tend to say don't show teachers or classes, or run it for a specific teacher if I need to. You can do anything with race or gender. This area here, it's basically saying if an assessment doesn't have at least 10 student scores, it's not going to show it. But we know that this particular series has. This area here is where we start to look at where it says show scoring notes. I know that the interims don't have that, but there are certain, like the New Hampshire SAS summatives, they will tell you how many points out of a number, like 2 out of 4 points were scored on this, but the interims didn't have that. So I know to skip that, but this is something that you might want to be able to do for the summatives, and we can show you at some point for that. This is where I go straight to traditionally. This is where the column headers, where it's going to allow me to see all of the information for that column and not cut it off. So I know exactly what the headers are. So I always choose all for these so that we can make sure that nothing's cut off. And then the student groups and grades, I traditionally just keep that right where they are. And I'm going to run the report again. So now what I have here is I've gotten rid of all of those extra gray columns because there was nothing reported in those particular areas. I have all of my reporting categories here, and then I have my overall score and my student names. So just like you would if you were looking in the like the Cambium reporting portal or anywhere where you see some of these little up and down arrows here, I can actually sort by a student's overall score. So if I wanted to look at these students' overall scores in order, I could click on this. First time you click it, it goes least to high, like the student who scored the lowest score to the highest. If you click it again, it will now show the highest student down to the lowest. So for overall score, this is a student who scored the highest, and you can kind of see with their scaled score here. One thing that I will say is every once in a while, I choose level by mistake, and it doesn't necessarily show me the top student in that level. So just make sure you're looking at that scaled score here. Also, if you wanted to take a look at this and say, well, I'm actually just want to look at fractions and see who is doing really well with that or not, you can click on here, and now it has repositioned it. These are the students here that have scored the lowest on this particular reporting category. So there's that. So now what I want to do is I want to take a look at this and show you this in a little bit different way. So when we look at this, I like this report. This is one of our favorite reports, but all my filters and my options are already chosen here. So I can just do this. I can choose a separate report. And the other report that I like that is going to take this data and I'm able to see it a little bit differently, and really it's a good visual, is this proficiency level pie chart. So I'm going to click that, and then I'm going to run report. Again, all my criteria and everything is exactly the same as what I had before. So now we can see here for this is the overall score, and you can see what percentage of students scored in a specific level. So you can see now, if I wanted to take a look at this and say, wow, who are my students that I have that are scoring below proficient? Like who's going to be on my radar because of this particular assessment? Again, the interns may not be the best choice, but if we were looking at other assessments as well, you can click right on here, and it gives you a list of every single student that scored below proficient there. I will say it is a little bit tricky. If I want to get back to that pie chart, don't click your back button here. I know it seems like that's what I've done it a million times, but sometimes it goofs it up. So just use this, they call this little breadcrumbs or whatever they are here, bird seeds, what is it?
Cookie crumbs, but I think it is breadcrumbs. So I'm not sure.
So anyway, it does run it again really quickly. And then you can scroll down here and see each reporting category, how students did. I just really like the visual on this pie chart. You can run this exact same report for your summative assessments for this year as well. So just keep that in mind for those of you who are looking at what you can do for summative data. What I will remind you of is overall score, there are 4 levels, right? And then once you get into the reporting categories for your interns, there's only 3 levels of reporting. So it's not that the level 4 or the students that are above proficient, it's not that there aren't any, it's just that that's not reported, and for 4 different levels for these here. In the summatives, it is a little bit different, but this is specifically in terms. Okay, so one thing that we have had a lot of questions on is how do I show how this specific group did? So I have right now, even though this is 5th grade, these were my 6th graders this year. And people have wanted to know how they did over a specific time frame, right? When we're looking at data, a lot of times looking at the last 3 years is the best way to see how students are doing, or if there are certain areas that are consistently something that is harder for them, or that maybe we're not teaching quite as well. So, but for these students, I'm going to keep the interim in here, but what I want to do is I want to go up here, and I am going to go to the filters here. And what I want to do here is I am going to choose for our sixth graders this year, I want to choose their summative scores for the last 2 years that they took the summative. So I'm going to choose this here, and I'm going to say New Hampshire SAS SBAC. And now I can't choose fifth grade. I'm going to choose third grade to fourth grade. They did not take it in fifth grade. So I'm going to do, what I'm looking at here now is the summative that these same kids did in third grade, and then in fourth grade, and then their interim. If you wanted to do this, you could also do this with their summative data this year, and then that would be the last 3 years of summative. We just don't have it quite yet, or else I would be running it that way. So now I show assessments. I have to choose my years here. 2017, 18 to 2021, show assessments. So now I chose the math. So I'm going to continue to choose the math. When I'm looking at, and if I wanted to really narrow it down, I could choose math here too. So if I choose mathematics and choose show assessments, here I go. So for the third grade, I want the 2018, and for fourth grade, I want the 2019. So again, same group of kids. This is their summative for third grade, their summative for fourth grade, and then their interim for this particular year. Okay, so I've chosen those. And now what I need to do is I need to kind of take a look at, I just want to see the overall score. So for this interim, I'm just going to switch these. I'm going to choose the overall score just to kind of see how they did overall for these years. Okay. All right. So it's these same students, and I'm going to run report. Okay. So now I can see here, this is the pie chart. This one, it's fine to see the pie chart here. You can kind of scroll down and see here's our overall score here for third grade, then fourth grade for the summative, and then fifth grade for the interim. I do find it's, even though I like the pie chart, what is a better report to look at this with is the assessment. Is it sections or standards bar chart?
Not the
assessment.
Standards, it's the achievement one. Yeah.
The achievement, yeah. Mm-hmm. So is this the one, Ann? I don't think I did the right one. I did the assessment sections. I need the achievement report, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you did sections, yeah.
Comparative.
Achievement levels, yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Just so everybody knows, when you, and if you use P+ regularly or at all, you know that you just run it. If it works, great. If it doesn't get what you want, you've got to change it a little and rerun it.
All right. Okay, so we have, this is our comparative report by achievement level. And you can see it is a little bit easier than that pie chart. You're able to see. So for third grade, this is how many students were above proficient. This was in fourth grade. And then this was the interims this year. The interim assessments, just so that you can understand a little bit, they're pretty comparable to the summative in the number of questions and all of that. So it's not totally apples to apples. Once you get your summative information in here, this is going to be a really good report for you. This is also one, I believe it's a push report. So we'll show you this during that webinar as well. But you can see basically how things have changed over time for these same students in third, fourth, and then now sixth grade. And then if you wanted to be able to drill into any of this, this is all, you can just take a look at just this particular assessment, if I just click on this and want to just see that, these are my students and how they scored just on that third grade. Again, if I want to go back and see that, I want to go use these little breadcrumbs and I can get back to this. So this is something that we use a lot with folks to be able to show them sort of how students are doing in general over time. Any questions or anything like that at this point?
We have no questions.
Okay, all right.
I would like to, if anybody has a specific report they want to see, please let us know.
All right, so now what I want to look at is we're going to go and do a little bit something different with we're not going to use a performance tracker report. I want to go into an assessment builder report. So this particular type of report has, this would be for an assessment that you have where everybody gets the exact same question. So it might be a local assessment. It might be something where students all are taking the exact same quiz or what have you. So these assessment builder reports, I am going to choose here. I want to choose the item analysis by question. This is one of the most, I feel like the most popular reports that we have for the assessment builder reports. It's the one that we use quite frequently. So now I've chosen my report. I want to go into the filters here and I'm going to take, these are not the assessments that I want because these, again, they do not go down to the question level. Because not all students get the exact same questions. It's not like they don't have, like students answer obviously specific questions, but they're not all the same. So what I want to do here is I am going to choose a sixth grade. Let's go sixth grade. And we'll choose this year. Okay. And then I'm just going to choose all. And then I'm going to show assessments. The one that I do want to use specifically for this is a AAA mid-year grade 6 math. So this might be a mid-year assessment for 6th grade. And then within this, you can see this is all of the reporting categories and everything like that. I'm just going to keep it because I want all of those reporting categories. And then what I'm going to do here is I am going to run the report. This one takes a little bit. I might have to go and rechoose. I still got my district, so that's good. So this is what this report looks like. So what this does is it breaks it down by each question. And depending on how you've set up the framework, you get to see a lot of information in here. So this particular framework, this is question 1. Put a little bit of information about question 1 here so that we know what that question is. We've matched it up with a specific standard. One thing that I really, I'm just going to put in a plug just very briefly. Performance Plus, you are able to create assessments that are Common Core aligned assessments. You can choose the questions and you can do everything within Performance Plus. We do have some general webinars about how to create frameworks or how to create assessments. But if you have any questions about how to do that, I feel like it's a completely underutilized portion of Performance Plus. So just reach out to us if you want to know sort of how some of these things are created here. But also this tells you the number of points and then what the correct answer is. If you're still not sure what the question is, you can click here and this allows you to view what the actual question is so that you can kind of understand a little bit about what that particular question is. Now, here is how this students answered the question, this particular question. So if we look at this here, you can see question B is the correct answer. So 70 students had the correct answer. And it looks like there's kind of a smattering here of kids that either guessed or just weren't totally sure. As I move down through the different questions, then we start looking at something like this here, and we say, okay, let's take a look here. Our answer, the correct answer is D. Only 18 students actually put the correct answer in. So I'm going to click over here and say, what in the world? What was this question? So I can see and get a little bit more information about what the students were seeing, and know sort of what the issue might have been. And then I can also take a look here and see if I want to click right on this, it's going to bring me to all the students who scored this correctly on this particular question. And then I can see all of the students who did not. So if I click right on here, these are all my students that did not answer that question correctly. I guess the point really, more importantly, is you're seeing that there's an obvious misunderstanding about this particular skill for these students. So it's super helpful to be able to kind of see that visually right there. And then as we kind of go down, you can see that there might be some other questions that had the same sort of issues. So you can start taking a peek. These are all multiple choice. You can see where students might be having some trouble with understanding, or some of the questions might be tripping them up a little bit. So that is this. I can also, now this is the question level for this particular report. I can also, if I go to reports here and I can see this item analysis, I can see the same assessment, an item analysis by student. So if I click here and I run the report, this will be a student and how each student scored on each question. So I feel like this is what people are used to, like when you do your Excel spreadsheets and all of that, you see your students and how they do on each one. You can sort by any of these. I can also go into the options and choose so that I can see a little bit more of the question. And then you can see how students are scoring on each particular answer. So this is the list of students. Right? If I want to click on a specific student, I can go right into that student. So this is by student here. Right. Any other questions, Anne?
We have no questions yet.
Okay. All right. So I think I'm looking at the time here. We have just a few more minutes. I think what I want to do is I want to show the scatter plot that we have. I think that this is a report that's really helpful to be able to see how students do from one year to the next. So I'm going to go up to the top here. I'm going to choose reports. I'm going to go into the performance tracker. This is going to be a good report to be able to do and to look at your New Hampshire SAS data. A lot of times we do this report on two different types of assessments as well. Like we might do a NEWA compared to a New Hampshire SAS summative, just so you can kind of see how they're scoring on each one. So here we go. We're going to go to the NE2 scatter plot. Step one complete. Now what I want to do here is I am going to look at a specific group of students from one year to the next for the New Hampshire SAS summatives. So I am going to go into 2017-18 and I'm going to go into 18-19. Again, if I had data for 2021, I would totally be showing you it. But I'm also, maybe we'll choose for all our ELA teachers, let's choose that. And I want to go maybe from 3rd grade to 4th grade. All right, and I will choose the summative and show assessments here. I do want to make sure to clear this one out. So here is my ELA summative for third grade in 2018. And then I'm going to do the fourth grade in 2019. And what I do for this scatter plot, it is best to just do overall score, because it's too much to have more than that. I don't even think it will run if you don't choose overall score there. So I'm going to run the report, and then you're going to look at this and you're going to say, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So here we are. This report you would look at and you might say, oh, what in the world? So this is the way this report works. I'm going to make it just a smidge smaller so you can see the whole thing. All right, so this is my grade 3 ELA for these students in the 17-18 school year. And then this is those same students in grade 4 the next year. The way that this particular report works is these are your level 1, right? These are your level 2 students, level 3, and level 4 students here. That's on the third grade one. If I'm looking at the fourth grade, here are my level 1, here are my level 2, level 3, and level 4. So if I'm looking at this here, anybody who's in this red box in the lower left has scored a level 1, both on the third grade and the fourth grade. Anybody in this blue box up here scored a level 4 on both the third and the fourth grade summatives. This is where it starts to get a little bit interesting, in that for the third grade, these students right here are a level 2, any of these here. And then for the fourth grade, here's my level 2 students. So these students here scored a 2 or a level 2 on both assessments. So what we start to look at is, okay, so these students are scoring a level 2 in third grade. Now these students are now a level 3, or actually it would be these, right? So these students are all level 2, level 2. This one here, these were level 2s for fourth grade, third grade, but in fourth grade, now I'm starting to get.
No, that's right.
Level 2 in fourth grade, but they were a level 3 in third grade. So these are the ones that you're thinking, okay, they're a level 3, but now a level 2. They've gone down. Right. This is fourth grade.
These here went up. These went down.
But this is third grade.
They were 2 in third, and now they're a 1 in fourth.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, hello. I saw me there. Sorry.
Right. So these students, level 2, then these are level 3, level 4. So as I'm looking at this, if I'm looking at the third grade, this student here, right up here, these students were in third grade, they were a level 3, too. How is that? I thought it went like this, this, and this.
Drive it. So this is, where am I? Where's my cursor? Okay, so this is the third grade down here. Everything from here left.
Oh gosh.
Is grade 1.
Right.
Okay.
Sorry, it is going up this way.
Yeah.
Up this way. I'm thinking of it the total opposite way. I'm so sorry. So this here, level 1, this is level 2 for third grade, level 3, and level 4 for third grade. And then for fourth grade, this is level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. I'm so sorry. I'm doing the opposite.
This is a great report for comparing your state test, like if you use NEWA or iReady or something, to the SAS. So your students who are scoring a level 4 in iReady may be a 2 or a 3 on the SAS. So, a teacher gets, oh, this student's a 3 or a 4 in iReady, I don't have to worry about them, but they're still not quite up to standard on the SAS. So
Mhm. This here too, this little burst, this is where sort of the average is for each one of those, which is interesting because it's right, it's kind of in the same area. Their average scores for, it doesn't usually work out that way where it's almost in the exact same spot. So that seems pretty good. And then, yeah, so it's really for the students that like here, these students in this particular section were a level 4 in 3rd grade, but now they've dropped to a level 3, yeah, in 4th grade. I thought I was doing it. No. Yes. So these are ones we start to look at, and especially this one here, we're almost, we're on the cusp of level 2 for 4th grade. So you want to make sure you could click right on that student, or it would show you if you just hover over it, who that student is. Again, we're looking at a John Smith database, so it's a little tricky. But you would be able to take a peek at this for any students. You can see that, this particular student is both, in 3rd grade and 4th grade. It's interesting to see those students who are maybe going down a level or 2. So there's that. All right, so it looks like that's sort of the end. If you want to, in the Q&A, or if you want to raise your hand and you would like to see a specific type of report or would like me to run something, let me know. Yeah. And, or if you have any questions.
Somebody said, how do we find our 2021 assessments?
So you would go into your filters here and you would choose 2020, 2021, and then you could choose all of these. If you're looking for a specific grade level, so if you're looking for just 4th grade, you could do that. This I would choose all. And then what happens is if you just put in 2021 and then your grade level, or if you just wanted to see math, whatever, you just click show assessments and it will show you every single assessment. Like if I take these off, I can scroll down and see every single assessment that's here. So these are what I have so far for this particular database. Like I said, if you finish doing your summative assessments and it's been a couple of weeks or so, your data for the summatives may be in Performance Plus at this point. I know that they've been pushing the data there pretty frequently from what we understand. So
actually, I have a question about that. Can you go into the live database and show us what we would see? I think if you don't go into any of the reports, you could just show the assessments. You just show the list of assessments and official grades.
Yeah, I just can't go into, yeah. So I'll close out of this here. This is very similar to what the live database will be, but let me go in that way. I'm going to go to so if I go into reports here and down on the bottom here, this is where those filters for assessments and sections. So if I just choose 2021 only, and I'm saying, I'm going to choose a specific grade range because it's a lot if I don't. So I'm just going to say 3rd grade. I'll even say 3rd grade to 5th grade is fine. But and this will show me all the assessments with scores. So there's assessment scores for Dibbles for some folks, iReady data if it's something that you use. Here's the New Hampshire SAS summative assessments here for ELA and math. Here's interim ones. NEWA, if you do NEWA and have asked to have it uploaded. And then star if you have, if you use star, and that looks like it for grades 3rd through 5th.
Yeah, and if you go up to the top there, Heather,
Mhm.
all the way to the push reports.
Mhm.
Next week, when we go over the SAS results for P+, we're gonna go into each of these folders so that you can see what kind of reports are in there
Mhm.
to help you analyze this year's data.
Yep, so you can get into there.
And you don't have to create them, they're all created for you.
Yeah, they're pushed right to you. We've been mostly Anne, but we've been working on which particular reports would be the most helpful for folks at this point. So they're very similar to what you've had in years past for the push reports, but we've also included one that has the interim for this year compared to the summative for folks who want to see how their students were doing at the beginning of the year and then at the end. It's not, again, not completely apples to apples, but it's a lot of people have been asking for that type of report. Anything
I don't
else?
think we have any more questions, so.
Okay, well, I'm just going to get back to my presentation here. And so this was sort of the question and answer time. Just know, as a Performance Plus subscriber, you also have the ability to, you have a member login. If for some reason you don't have one and you would like one and you're a Performance Plus subscriber, you can just let us know and we'll add you right to the system. What happens is you put your email and your password in and you get, you can register as a new user. So if you don't, you register as a new user and it will bring you, it will send it to us. We will create and I'll give you access. And what you can look at is these resources and discussions. This is past years of all Performance Plus resources, past webinars, just general information. There's a lot of sort of supplemental documents and things like that. So check that out if you haven't already. And then some upcoming workshops and webinars that we have. We've been talking about this, analyzing the SAS data using push reports. We have 2 of those coming up. We'll be doing June 1st and June 9th. So we'll be going through all of those reports and what you are can anticipate seeing from those reports and how to interpret them. And then we also have the Understanding Your SAT data. We did that earlier this week, but we also have another one coming up at the end of June. You can also access past webinars. We have a lot of videos of past webinars that we've done, so you can always take a peek at any of those. If you go to our YouTube channel, we have specific Performance Plus webinars, but we also have a lot of our data coaching webinars and just general webinars that we've done. There's so many of them. They're all free. You can view them at any time. So check out our YouTube. And then we're also on social media. We've been doing some quick little tips, general information. There's some articles and everything like that. So some stuff is going to be coming out soon as well, some additional. So always take a peek there. And then this is me and Anne. You will get an email tomorrow with a link to your PD certificate, the PowerPoint, and then where to find this particular recording. And there is going to be, once you log off, there should be, we're testing it out, a Zoom survey at the end. We're always looking to see what we can do to improve our webinars and make sure that we're providing you with everything you need. Specifically for you folks with Performance Plus, your subscribers. If you ever have any questions or need anything that is Performance Plus related, please reach out to us. That's what we're here for. So with that, any other questions? You're good?
Doesn't look like we have any questions and nobody has raised their hands.
Okay.
So thank you for attending. And
Great.
definitely come next week when we're talking about these services.
All right. Take care, everybody.